Hello and welcome to this week's episode of I Draw, You Watch, where I spend, 20 minutes, half hour drawing some mediocre artwork with a substandard humour element and talk over the top of it while the artwork goes on, so that you can listen to me. Usually I'm full of joviality and, hilarious expressions of nonsense that doesn't really mean a lot to anyone, about TV shows and gaming and this, that and the other. But this week I am drawing the comic strip I did about Penny Arcade's Dickwolves, in inverted commas, controversy. There was no controversy, and etc. If you don't know about it, it was a comic that they did about World of Warcraft or those kind of things, where you have quests that are arbitrary, where they do stuff like you've got to go and save 5 slaves, yet there's like 100 slaves down there. Why only 5? Why would you only save 5 slaves when there's 100 people to be saved? And in the comic it mentions the word rape, and because of that it's a rape joke. And despite that Dickwolf, like the Dickwolves that are doing the raping are not a real thing, despite that the man in the comic is not a real man, it was all just blown out of proportion. And then by defending it, they acted flippant and made more jokes, and people who were against it in the first place rallied around that common enemy that was Penny Arcade. And it becomes massive clickbait for any website. They will run a Penny Arcade. They know how many fans Penny Arcade's got, and they know how many enemies Penny Arcade's got. So when Kotaku run an article that says Penny Arcade in it, they know they're going to get an audience, and they're going to get a lot of people commenting underneath, which means more people coming back to the article, more clicks, more advertising revenue, money, money, money. And I hate Kotaku for it. So anyway, I did this comic based on that thing, that every time they do it, they bring up the Dickwolves thing. No matter what they do in the future, in the past, in the past, they're going to bring up Dickwolves stuff, and they do stuff in the past. Come on, think about it, Ian. It'll always be there. So, in case you don't realise, I'm drawing Mike Krahulik and Jerry Holkins. I'm not actually drawing Gabe and Tycho, their alter egos that they draw in the comic, because it's more about the actual people. And it was designed as if Lawrence was meeting the actual guys. That's the joke. The link's below. You can see the whole thing. There's a massive blog underneath which says a lot of what I'm going to say, but I'm more about reading through the 2 articles from TMI by a guy named Nathan Grayson, who I hate with a passion. Just because they're not insightful articles. They're articles that are inciting, as in they are inciting people to click and rant about. He knows what he's doing, in so much as he is writing inflammatory stuff so that the Penny Arcade fans will defend them to him, and then hit the people who are on the side of that jokes shouldn't be made about sensitive subjects, etc, etc. So the first of these is called Why I Didn't Attend PAX This Weekend. I'm trying to make a few jokes as I'm going on, but this is fairly serious material. Sort of. It's not really. I mean, this guy's a bellend. Okay, the first one is called Why I Didn't Attend PAX This Weekend. PAX is the Penny Arcade Expo, which is where they have a exposition that they wanted to see. It involves gaming, it involves comics, it involves all of the things that they wanted to see at an expo that were currently being missed, or they were only being partly represented in other places. So they made an expo 10 years ago, and it's grown, and now they do like 3 a year. So here's the article. Nathan Grayson, TMI. PAX is a behemoth, a monolith. It's nearly outgrown the ubiquitous webcomic that spawned it. Right, stop there. That's the first sentence. That's the opening gambit, right? All thesaurus that. He didn't understand. He didn't write any of that. It's an incredibly popular event where tens of thousands of video game fans come together to celebrate their favourite pastime, but I think the convention still has some more growing to do, and in some ways is growing in the wrong direction. This year I decided to skip PAX East entirely. I should note that it is a personal thing and doesn't reflect the feelings of Kotaku as a whole or anything like that. See, not exactly the best writing in the world or anything like that, like whatever. We've had people on the ground covering this weekend's PAX East convention in Boston, and there's been plenty of fun stuff going on. You've probably heard the story by now, but just in case, Penny Arcade has a rather rocky history with tolerance and inclusivity up to and including the notorious Dickwolves controversy. And then there's a link so that you can click on it and go through the whole rigmarole about what the Dickwolves shit was about. Okay? 3 fucking sentences in, and it's already fucking bringing up that old shit. And I'm at, where was I? Okay. You've probably heard the story by now, but just in case, oh yeah, Dickwolves controversy. So there we go, right? He's not even stated anything about anything, but he's brought up the Dickwolves thing because heaven forbid you should write an article about Penny Arcade without bringing up the non-controversy that was the Dickwolves thing. Everyone seems to bring this up. It's a non-issue. Basically, they did a comic. In fact, just click on the link below. They have a link to it, and they did that comic, and everyone shit their pants. The entire internet went, "Oh my god, you did a comic about rape!" It's nothing like it's a comic about gaming, and they use rape to say how ridiculous it is to ignore rape because of the arbitrary quests that you get sent on in video games. It's such a non-issue, but the internet went mental. They defended themselves, and then they sort of just were dismissive of the internet, like you have to be sometimes, because otherwise, if you respond to everyone, you'll end up pleasing no one. In which an offhand rape joke, nothing to do with rape, the joke, but there we go, became a banner. PA heads Mike Krahulik and Jerry Holkins rallied countless fans behind in objection to those hurt or offended by it, and a number of recent gaffes, Twitter tirades from Krahulik. PA has apologised on multiple occasions, with the most recent coming in the form of a seemingly heartfelt confessional, so he doesn't believe that it was. It's flame bait, these articles. They are clickbait. They just want people to. They know that Penny Arcade have got a massive following. So if you put Penny Arcade in the title, then anyone who reads Kotaku that likes Penny Arcade or hates Penny Arcade will click on it, which is why it's got so many more clicks than some of his other articles. So many more. It was an exceedingly brave thing to post, and I applaud him for doing it. It takes guts to face one's own mistakes. It takes significantly more to do so in front of millions of people. Apologies, however, do not always translate into meaningful change. And on that front, all we can do is watch and wait. Well, we could watch and wait, but you've decided to open your flappy fucking gums. Penny Arcade has since unveiled the PAX Diversity Lounge initiative. We'll go on a bit more about that in a minute. Describing it as a resource for industry professionals and fans to interface in a setting focused on diversity, receive diversity training, learn more about diversity, and meet people from diverse communities. Sounds like a fucking fantastic idea. Sounds like the sort of bridge building exercise that one would be applauded for, right? We'll see. Fair enough, but as many have pointed out, it also makes the space separate, removed, different. Fuck me. Can't win for trying. It's just fucking unbelievable. Granted, Penny Arcade is not corralling all creators of diverse games into a signposted paradise, effectively creating a zoo for everyone to gawk at. The goal on Penny Arcade's end to establish a focal point. One they presume might go there to... Oh, it's just shit writing. It creates a safe space for all and just generally learn. Maybe it will work slowly but surely, and maybe Penny Arcade will tweak it over time to ensure that everyone benefits. They've said in the past that they're open to doing so. Or maybe it will only perpetuate the notion that diversity is the other, a tiny soapbox island adrift in the ocean of stubbly faced white space marines. What the fuck? And their desperately mewling damsels. Maybe it will also foist this geezer. Thesaurus, can I have something that means festa, please? Unnecessary pressure on women, people of colour, and people who identify as queer, trans, or what have you. What have you? You know, queer, trans, whatever. You know, those things that I don't quite understand myself. But I'm going to completely go on about Mike Krolik, criticising them. Hell yes, because that means clicks. Maybe the people who need to learn most will just avoid it, mistaking open arms for red tape are base operations for those people who are supposedly taking their hobby away from them. Talk about read so much into it. I'm definitely interested in talking with attendees and hearing how this weekend went. So he really wants to know about PAX, but he's not going to go himself. Hell no. We still haven't got to the actual reason why he's not going, but we'll get there. Ah, dear. It's one thing to understand that people feel out of place on an abstract level. It's another to see, hear and experience exactly why. Faces, talking, smiling, laughing, crying, enjoying the convention is more than just tools for the education of more privileged folks who might not understand where they're coming from. Those need to be present at places like PAX. As ex-Journey dev now, someone said to him, life is a struggle. We all have our challenges. Everyone who looks a certain way definitely doesn't feel the same way on the inside, and they don't get the same opportunities. As long as we can continue to tell the story that diversity is already present in the industry, then we can break the myth that PAX is filled with white guys who don't like gay people or women. That's just a myth. The more we do collectively destroy that myth and bring to reality of our situation, which is that we're all different and we're all part of the struggle, to light the better of the industry. What the fuck? The reality of our situation, which is that we're all different and we're all part of the struggle, to light the better off the industry is. I truly believe that. It's true too. I can count the number of truly jerky people I've met at PAX on one hand. Right? That's surely says a hell of a lot more than anything he's written so far. That there's only been up to 5 jerks that he's ever met at PAX, haven't been going for fucking God knows how long. Alright? PAX is an odd thing because its identity is all at once bound up in and wholly separate from Penny Arcade. Avoiding it on the basis that one doesn't agree with Penny Arcade or its actions then is valid. What the fuck? It is wholly separate from Penny Arcade. Avoiding it on the basis that one doesn't agree with Penny Arcade or its actions then is valid. The guys are fucking... It sends a message that non-inclusive spaces in the gaming industry should no longer be tolerated. It is, however, also perfectly valid and important to attend PAX with the same mindset, to be there in person representing what you want to see out of our community and gaming culture at large. The community attending PAX is not necessarily Penny Arcade. It's people, bastions of understanding and civility, bad eggs and all, a mixed bag of backgrounds, mindsets, feelings and experiences, all united by a handful of hobbies. This time, I've opted to abstain, to stay on the sidelines until Penny Arcade has proven it can clean up its act. What act? Because of one comic that carried on and because of a couple of comments on Twitter that Mike then perpetuated by fucking falling down a rabbit hole because he didn't fully understand what he was arguing about. Maybe I'll try attending again in the future. Both are equally acceptable, both are equally important. That's the main reason I'm not attending PAX this weekend, but it's not the only one, because it's turned into a place where the rest of the argument's about consumerism. And he goes on about loads and loads and loads of other fucking conventions, and it's actually nothing to do with nothing really to do with PAX at all. It's just to pad out the article. Right, that obviously got a fuckload of clicks. Hell of a lot of people read that comment, so he thought, right, how can I capitalise on this? I know, I'll do another fucking article about Penny Arcade. Was PAX East's Diversity Lounge a success? I asked people who went, didn't go himself, thought he'd still write an article about it. Ubiquitous, remember that word? Remember? Used it again, Theosaurus time. Ubiquitous webcomic Penny Arcade, taken some rather poor stances on diversity in the past. You know where this is going. Leading some people, myself included, in link form so that you can link back to his other thing. So he's not stupid. To avoid PAX altogether for the time being. However, Penny Arcade is at least attempting, in italics, to clean up its act, starting with a diversity lounge, in inverted commas. That debuted, it's a hell of a lot of fucking whatever. Just mumble, cut, move along. That debuted at PAX East, but did it help, or did it only pay lip service to a much larger issue? The Diversity Lounge itself was placed just outside PAX's well-trafficked Badger Theatre and near the convention's front lobby. So, decent, prominent place, not stuck in a corner, out of the way, like you were saying in the other post. It wasn't really staffed by many video games developers, but its 14 tables brimmed with members of inclusive groups like Toronto Gamers, spelt gay, MERS, BentCon, Queer Geek, Press XY, Disability-Centric Group and charity Able Gamers, Card Game Advent Saga, Webcomic Capital Hillbillies and Roving Magic the Gathering Cabal, the Lady Planeswalkers Society. There were also beanbag chairs for the con-exhausted masses who just wanted to get off their feet for a little while and hang out. Doesn't sound anything wrong with that. Sounds like quite a good place to go. Reactions coming out of the show have been mixed. We'll see if they've been mixed. The Diversity Lounge itself... The Diversity Lounge itself, many I've spoken to claimed was a safe, inviting place full of helpful, passionate people. However, it wasn't particularly well publicised, which left some feeling like the lounge had been tossed out in the cold, forced to fend for itself. It's right in the main lobby, remember? So every fucking cunt's going to see it. It's just an absolute bullshit, right? And also that very first bit that he said, many I've spoken to, many. Not some, not half, not a few, many. I want to start off by saying that I went to the Diversity Lounge not knowing what to expect. This is in quotes, so this is someone's opinion. Not knowing what to expect because of all the negative backlash on the internet when it was announced. Yeah, really? Negative backlash on the internet from Kotaku? Surely not. Author and cosplayer Gur Tisk told me, I was more than pleasantly surprised the whole weekend. The lounge was, contrary to what people were saying, not a place where people were pushed into a corner and held up to be different than the other people. The lounge really felt like just another facet of the convention. Very good. The PAX enforcers at the door were extremely personable and not only watched the room but actively participated in the education. The enforcers, by the way, are their security team that they don't hire. The people volunteer to do it because they like attending PAX and they're part of the community. That's the sort of community you've got at PAX. People who volunteer their entire fucking weekend to do it. Go away, crazy Apple thing. They volunteer their time to do it. Okay, carrying on. Added Trans Against Insanity panellist and member of the trans-centric gaming group Press XY, Lexi Richardson. Honestly, it was a great time. I personally witnessed cisgender men and women come into the lounge with questions. Yeah, I don't know either. No, I do know. It's people that are of their own, like they are. If they have the genitals of a man, they think they're a man or woman, etc. You know. A few people actually told me that the room and panel had changed their minds and taught them that trans people aren't that strange after all. It was immensely personal, rewarding to explain something about life as a transsexual woman and have them excitedly shake my hand and thank me. Not only that, but the general feeling of the room was that of safety. Diversity is about everyone, white, black, cis, trans, male, female, genderqueer, and everything in between, of which there is a lot. I've come to learn. If somebody was feeling overwhelmed by the immense crowds on the show floor, then they could come to the Diversity Lounge and relax on a beanbag or talk with the exhibitors. It was a safe space. Right? All sounds so positive so far. Unfortunately, here it comes. Now, this is Nathan, back on point. There weren't really scheduled events to draw people to the lounge. Right? So there's nothing specifically going on in the lounge to draw people there, apparently, according to this guy who didn't go, remember. But Penny Arcade artist Mike Gabe Krahulik stopped by for a couple of hours to demo his tabletop game Thornwatch. So a game that millions of people, or at least tens of thousands of people, are desperately passionate about, that hasn't been released yet, was being played in the Diversity Lounge by the guy who pissed off everyone in the past. But still, it's a bad place. Whilst not the biggest possible helping hand from on high, really, the main guy, come into the main place of his own accord with his brand new game is not the biggest possible helping hand. Fucking cocksucker. One might read that as a half-baked attempt at making amends, but Diversity Lounge attendees came away pretty pleased. Pretty pleased. Yeah, it was alright. Mike carried himself perfectly, opined into Play Wasteland Bars Tale 3, co-founder, former PlayStation engineer and current Oldie Skull CEO Rebecca Heinemann. He wasn't there to make a showing, he was there to try out his new game and gather feedback. And where else better to enlist a gender-inclusive group to join together and battle against the monsters on the playfield. We were there to play a game, and play we did. He listened to all of our feedback, and he was taking notes like a madman, including comments about adding female characters to his game, and minor rule changes since we did break his game by unorthodox play. Others were less effusive in their praise. But it sounds like Grahulik hosted a solid session overall. Both PA writer Jerry Hawkins and Mike made appearances in the Diversity Lounge at Able Games editor-in-chief Steve Spone. Given how much they are in demand around the entire conference, I think they did well appearing where they could. Less effusive, right? There's nothing negative there. Nothing negative. It's just a positive thing again. This geezer said there was a mixed fucking reaction. So far, we haven't heard one negative thing said at all, apart from everything he's saying because he wants the Penny Arcade people to get pissed off, like me. Getting pissed off and doing this whole fucking thing. But I'm not linking back to his article because he's a fucking cocksucker. Although only a few game developers presented at the Diversity Lounge, a handful apparently came through to ask questions and seek valuable consultation for their games. I had a few devs drop by with ethics-related questions, said De Montfort University computer ethics academic Catherine Flick. It was really good to see them. Many more board game writers than video game writers, but hey, I'm not picky. Some Microsoft people dropped by as well, along with people from 2K. Lots of indie writers too. The Diversity Lounge's first run, however, this is him getting back on point, right? He's trying to sell it as a fucking negative thing. He's got to drive it home now. The Diversity Lounge's first run, however, was less of a silver bullet for Penny Arcade's recent troubles and more of a late firing starting gun. It was an important first effort, but it still has a long way to go. So don't like it because it seems to be going well, and I don't like that because that doesn't help my cause. Prick. The first big issue, advertising and publicity. While the Diversity Lounge was decently located in the lobby. Remember? In the lobby. Cocksucker. It was still off the beaten path. Off the beaten path in the lobby. It wasn't in the beaten path lobby. It was on the off the beaten path lobby. Removed from the hustle and bustle of the expo floor and most damningly not given prominent place on PAX's website or promo materials. Are you fucking kidding me? Kotaku ran articles based entirely on this. People didn't need to fucking have it drummed into them on the PAX website, which no one goes to because they all know what they're going to get at PAX, because this was all over the internet fucking everywhere else. Spastic. Nor were there any sponsors from major gaming companies. What the fuck's Penny Arcade going to do? They can't fucking influence everyone else's shit. All they can do is provide something and hope that other people fucking associate with it. Jesus. It was more of a pleasant surprise, nestled away from the general populace unless they put the legwork to seek it out. There were official role for diversity lanyards and panel schedules. Panels were separate from the lounge itself for those who wanted them. But it's like I always say, if you want to hide your deepest, darkest secret, well, no one will ever find it. Put them on a convention lanyard. He always says that, Nathan. I'll tell you what, if you read his articles, he's always going on about them lanyards. I'll tell you. He always says it. It's the most common thing. If you say Nathan Grayson, people go, oh, the lanyard guy. Yeah, he's a fucking card. Get it, card, lanyard? I'm funny, me. There's no mention of the lounge on the PAX website. That's it. That's the only quote he's got. For a Toronto-based indie developer and queer geek booth volunteer, Royal Edwards. If PAX wants a diversity lounge, attendees have to know about it, which they did. Like I said, internet all over it for weeks leading up to PAX. Others argue that while some sort of show floor presence is definitely needed, the Diversity Lounge main base of operations should remain away from the ever-churning pit of very loud madness that was the Expo 4. Such a cacophonous crowd location, they explain, simply isn't conducted to discussing and an explanation. The Diversity Lounge's key goals. I personally am glad we were in a big room off the main arterial hallway and not in the middle of the expo floor, said Press XY member who visited to remain, who wished to remain anonymous. If we were, we'd be swallowed up by the masses. The expo hall is huge, full of people who might be antagonistic, and it reeks of Axe body spray, weird, and desperation. Being in a big open room off the main hallway, people who didn't like us could avoid us, and the people who wanted to be there could be there. I think it worked well. So the people that were actually fucking meant to be in there, and the people that were it was for, liked where it was. But Nathan Grayson's not going to let it go. Another problem with the Diversity Lounge the Diversity Lounge's relative lack of diversity. It certainly provided a safe space for members of the gaming community who are often pushed to the outer margins. Lack of diversity. This geezer. But it was somewhat narrowly focused in terms of representation, advertising focused mainly on lesbian, gay, bi, trans, queer imagery, and activist groups made up of the bulk of its booths. So, you know, they miss people out. I guess. I don't know what he's going on about. Maybe the black community. Or... No. Females. I guess females. They're under what's the word? Represented in gaming. The space felt open and comfortable. Here's another quote. The space felt open and comfortable. Sounds negative, start one. God. But I think they could grow to be more diverse, explained ex-ensemble. That's the most damning thing that he's got. I guess it could grow to be more diverse. Ugh. That's the worst thing he's got to say about it. Still, he carries on. The lounge's organisers definitely need to reach out as early as possible to local diversity groups involved in gaming, not just activist groups. Our group, Press XY, are essentially a national organisation, but we were also the only group actively representing transgender issues. What was missing were groups dealing with gamers of other ethnicities and special groups focused on women gamers. So what I just said at the beginning. So I should have carried on reading and I wouldn't have had to fucking fumble around in my brain trying to think of other things that were missing. Regardless of gender or sexual orientation. Back to Nathan. The biggest hurdle Penny Arcade's diversity initiative still needs to overcome, however, is what it represents. PAX East's Diversity Lounge ended up being a good, safe space. So why you fucking... Oh, it was mixed, though. It was a good, safe space, but mixed. If you dig down, mixed. If you read between the lines. If you really want to, you know, follow Nathan. But it carried with it a sticky mess of potentially problematic implications. It's tough to say whether the lounge is on the right track or not, lamented Edwards. Who the fuck's Edwards? Don't know. Especially since in a perfect world there wouldn't need to be one in the first place. But for those who care enough to inquire about what the booths have to offer, it serves its purpose, getting the word out about the community and acceptance for all people. It felt like the lounge was a double-edged sword. Yes, people can be excited for the fact that PAX is pushing for diversity, but on the other hand, we have people asking why PAX and the notion of diversity seem to be two different things when they should be one same thing. Penny Arcade has said hurtful things that made both attendees and developers not even bat an eye at PAX. I don't want them to think that using this lounge as a band-aid is going to help make PAX a better place. The first negative quote he's got, he hasn't attributed it to anyone, but guess it might be his quote. Lines in the sand, whether drawn intentionally or not, exclude. And when the whole point of an initiative is equality and inclusivity, that perception is a big problem. The Diversity Lounge was meant to be open to all, but not everyone understood that. Some assumed it was a space only for underrepresented groups, a place where straight white men weren't welcome. Others were afraid to approach or admit that they didn't fully understand. One guy talked to me and he was really interested in the PAX Prime Pink Party, and he asked if he was allowed to come because he was straight, exclaimed Edwards. I wanted to hug him forever. That proves that people think that just because they see the word queer or trans or gay or whatever, they feel like it's exclusive to that sort of people when it's not. It's a tough perception to avoid when separation from the default state of things, but overcoming it is not impossible. The next step then is to make the Diversity Lounge's open arm stance even more open. He's a great writer, Nathan. Wow, that is a heartfelt fucking thing. Bellend. Right, this video is about to end, and I didn't realise it was gonna, so I might have to fucking extend the video a little bit just to fucking finish my thoughts. PAX East's Diversity Lounge then was a learning experience for all involved. It was in many ways a positive first step, but there's tremendous room for improvement both in and around it. Lounges, as it turns out, take hard work to run. Here's hoping everyone is ready to roll up their sleeves. Right, so there wasn't fucking much negative in that at all, but it's called clickbait. That's why it's, you know, fucking, oh, it's mixed, oh, you know, oh, is it good? The thing is, now what Penny Arcade have got is, if they carry on doing it, they're going to carry on getting this kind of fucking horseshit. If they stop doing it, they'll get people saying, oh, they've stopped, they've given up, because they don't actually care about diversity, so they can't win for trying again. It's absolute fucking horseshit. There's no other convention that does anything like this. It's even trying to do it, and maybe it's because they, you know, they fucked up in the past and they want to try and improve their image. Maybe it's because they know that they made mistakes, so they want to build these bridges, because they want to include these people, because they know what it's like to be outsiders, because they're nerds and they were bullied as kids. So why don't we just try and fucking give them a chance? You know what I mean? Instead of keep on fucking bringing up the shit that they did in the past, so that you can get more clicks to your shitty fucking cunt-ass opinion blog. I fucking hate this guy with a passion. But who am I? I've got, you know, an audience minuscule of his size. But don't stop me having my own opinion and trying to defend people who have not made that big a mistake in the past and are trying to do good things for communities that are bullied. So fucking thank you for listening, thank you for watching in this I Draw You Watch. Next week we'll return to humour and you know, funny comments about nonsense and things that don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Don't forget to come back on Friday or Thursday when I will update the second episode of the Ripper walkthrough, and XCOM will be back on Monday with episode like 17. No, what's it on now? 12? I don't know. I'm so far ahead of it on the curve. Just trying to keep up. It's crazy time. Yeah, all the links for everything I've said, apart from links to his blogs, because I hate him, are below, and I will see you next time on I Draw You Watch.